Thank you. Yeah, so the topic for the month is heart opening. And whenever we work with heart opening, it isn't just a physical thing, right? None of yoga is ever just a physical thing, right? But especially heart opening has to do with, yes, working with the physicality of the heart space, which of course for those of us who have a breast cancer journey is a vulnerable space physically, but also emotionally. So there is the physical aspect of the tight pecs, the surgery areas, the scar tissues, potentially radiation burns, fibrosis. There's so much happening in our heart space, just physically, that's difficult. And there's a long rehab sometimes for this heart space physically, right? As the musculature has to readjust. And the body has to cope with missing lymph nodes, or like I said, with radiation burns, or just general healing. So as we work on this region, sort of bringing resilience back into just the musculature, the fascia, the ligaments, the tendons, you need to be very, very kind and compassionate with yourself, very aware of your healthful boundaries. And of course, this is true in yoga all the time. We're always our own inner teacher. We always make our own decisions about how far we go in any one offered shape. But when we start working with the heart space, I just really encourage you to truly dig into your own inner wisdom and to not push past something when it starts to hurt. Nothing should ever hurt. There will be sensation. There's no doubt that there will be sensation. You have to be the judge from the inside out of whether that is sensation of, yeah, this is creating resilience, this is loosening some tissue that feels really stuck, versus, oh, now I'm pushing too hard. So that's my big preamble for this month, right? Is to really tune into what is happening with you, and if it hurts, stop. Better to err on the side of going lightly and gently and compassionately than to push through something that really doesn't serve you. Then there's the breath, right? When we open the heart, we also work with this region of the diaphragm. And as always, invite the breath to stay gentle as well. So not these deep breaths as you sometimes hear it, big into the chest. No, the breath lives in your midriff. And so let the breath be there, and let the breath be your guide. If you feel the breath starting to come into the chest, you know that you may be overworking. This is your nervous system giving you a signal that something's a little bit off. High chest breathing is usually a signal of anxiety or some kind of distress. So if you feel the breath moving up into the chest, regroup, ease up, and wait until you feel a gentle breath that's sort of mostly moving this midsection of the body. We'll probably be doing some humming this month, and that too will reverberate in the throat, but you'll also let it reverberate through the torso. And then the third piece to really be aware of as we work with heart opening is the psychological piece, right? Part of the tension that we hold in the heart space during a breast cancer journey is also our change in posture. We start to guard that part of our body, or maybe because of body image changes in the contours of your chest, the changes just in the tissue. There may be like a guarding, a postural sort of coming forward. That's also a very psychological, emotional sort of thing. When we move into this guarded space, we really bring out and highlight our psychological and emotional vulnerability. As you open that space, sometimes that will feel even more vulnerable, and you may have that urge to protect yourself. You need to be the judge. When is that a real urge that you need to heed? And when is that an invitation to say, okay, I can open my heart, I can open myself up to this new reality of my body. So, big preamble for this month, but I think it's really important to recognize that working with the heart space is not a unidimensional thing. It's very multi-layered, it's physical, it's energetic, it's psychological, it's emotional, it's even relational. Because as we perceive a change in our body image, we also become more vigilant about how other people might change their relationship to us and to a potentially new body shape. So just give yourself a lot of compassion, and that will be our overriding theme today, is to work with compassion. As we open the heart space, we also build inner strength, and we build what I like to call, we build backbone to open the heart space. You have to strengthen the back, and you have to be strong at the core. And that's when we can allow ourselves to become vulnerable, when we know that we've got this. We have our inner strength. I'm pointing sort of to my belly, right? That core area, we have that, we have backbone. We can protect ourselves without collapsing forward. So, all of that said, today it might be helpful to have a stretchy band if you have one, or a scarf or a strap. The stretchy band is ideal, but a scarf will work, a tie will work, a dog leash, whatever you have. We won't use it a lot, but we'll use it just enough. And then if you have them, a couple of foam blocks, not heavy cork blocks or wood blocks. If you don't have foam blocks, grab a couple of paperback books. They don't have to be big, they can be tiny. It's just something that you can balance on your hands without gripping it, but just they can sit on top of your hands. And that's it. That's really all you need, other than your chair or your mat or whatever your surface is. Yeah, you could use pair of flip-flops. Absolutely. That'll work totally great. Well, it's super creative. I totally love that. Thank you for that demo. That was beautiful. All right, so from here I invite you to find your spot for your opening centering. By now, all of you know what you prefer, whether you'd like to be seated on the floor or seated on a chair or lying down. And let yourself experience the compassion of using props, whether that's a lift under your seat, or a lift under the knees if you're lying down, maybe a blanket wrapped around you, whatever it is. Just ponder, how can you bring even more compassion to your body here in this shape that you have chosen for your opening centering. And then invite yourself to arrive very fully in this moment and in this space, as you also make a discerning choice about how you'd like to place your eyes and your hands. Knowing through all of that, that if you're making a choice right now that turns out to be less than auspicious, you can change your mind. Simply move and shift mindfully and compassionately, and then come back to the guidance for the opening centering. And then holding that compassionate heart of yours wide open, meet the sensations that you're bringing with you in your body today. You don't have to go out searching. Just open the heart and let whatever is present in your body arrive in your awareness. And remember that even a sense of there's nothing there is something. The absence of sensation is also observable. And so often when we move into awareness or attention to the body, we look for challenge. We think that sensation is synonymous with difficulty, but it's not. Sensation can also be pleasant or simply contented. Of wow, the body today feels simply present. It's here. It's seated or lying down. It's engaged. So don't look for the big things, look for the subtle things. And simply and compassionately meet what is there, regardless of where on the spectrum of affective valence it is, from the pleasant to the unpleasant. Even embracing the confusing. Oh, a sensation that I've never noticed before, for example. There's no need to label anything, just meet what is there and sense it compassionately with an open heart. And keep holding your body in this compassionate awareness as you also begin to notice how your breath is unfolding today. Compassionately meeting each inhalation from its beginning to its end. Compassionately embracing whatever tiniest of pauses there may be between the end of the inhalation and the beginning of the exhalation. Compassionately meeting the release of the exhalation. And compassionately meeting perhaps the tiniest of pauses at the bottom of the breath, when the exhalation has ended and the inhalation has not yet begun. Can you bring your open heart with deep compassion to this cycle of life moving through you as you receive the breath and release the breath? This is your vitality, your energy made tangible. And so this may also be a compassionate meeting of whatever vitality you are bringing along this morning. And again, there's no need to label anything. Simply let yourself experience in the unfolding of your energy here. And compassionately hold your body and your energy in your awareness as you gently and compassionately begin to meet what is present in terms of sensation in your mind. Here you might meet the nature or the quality of your mind state. Is the mind distracted or focused, chaotic or kind of dull? Not that you need to label any of that. I'm just giving examples of what I mean by mind state. Or you could meet mind content, actual thoughts or feelings. Simply meet them open-heartedly and compassionately. There is no need to do anything with them. Simply be open to what is. And as you compassionately meet body, breath, and mind, you might become aware that compassion, this open-heartedness, is at the very nature of your deeper inner wisdom. Your intuitive intelligence always is compassionate. This capacity to stay open-hearted to your own experience and the experience of others, that is a very human quality. And as we deepen our awareness of that very human quality, we often also open into a sense of joy. If any of that arises for you this morning, consider yourself very, very lucky. If it doesn't arise for you, then just know that this is within you. The seeds of compassion, the seeds of joy are very basic aspects of what it means to be human. From this place of having opened yourself up to your own inner experience, I invite you, if it serves you, to place your hands to your heart as you bow your head to your heart. To notice if from your heart space there is an intention that emerges for you, where by now you know that an intention is a heartfelt quality, something you would like to bring or cultivate on the mat today. It's not a goal, it's not an outcome to strive for, it's a way of being. If something arose for you, you might choose to use your next inhalation to receive that intention with compassion. And if you would like to, with your next breath out, you could choose to send that intention, that quality outward compassionately into the greater web of life. And then whenever you feel ready to do so, you can release your hands if they were lifted. You can open your eyes if they were closed. You can rise to a seat if you were lying down. Yeah, and welcome. From here, some of you may still get settled in, but once you are in a seat, you can join. Well, I'll just start with a few sort of very gentle shoulder shrugs, up and down. If most of you were here in last month as we worked with lymphatics, you now know that shoulder shrugs are just such a beautiful way of waking up this region around the clavicles, inviting the flow of lymph toward the heart. And as you shrug, maybe you begin to transform that shrug into a few shoulder circles toward the back. So just letting that shrug kind of come from the inside, turning it into shoulder circles, just as it kind of feels good for you. For some of you, maybe the circles stay very small. For some of you, maybe the circles get a little bit bigger. Maybe there's a little bit of arm action that happens, a little bit of flexion in the elbow as the arms kind of move up into that shrugging sort of shoulder circle motion. And maybe the hands get a little bit more involved. There could even be some circling through the wrists. By now you see kind of the method behind these movements. We're creating lymphatic flow here very deliberately, but we're also already beginning to mobilize, to create resilience in this heart space. And so work gently here. And then you might begin to touch the palms together in front of your heart as you make these circles and sort of have little cactus arms on the way. Be creative in how you circle here and how you continue to shrug a little bit. You may feel this through your shoulders, you may feel this through your neck. And then at some point, when the palms come together, keep them together and let them come out in front of you. And then with an inhalation, open the arms out to the side. Work with great mindfulness here. With the exhalation, you'll bring for the first couple times the palms back together. And so you find your range of motion of how far is it okay for you to open the heart right now. You don't have to imitate anything you see on the screen. You might even close your eyes and work from the inside out to really sense how open do I want to be here, whether physically, energetically, or psychologically. So you're creating a little bit of extension here in the spine. This is also great for your posture. You can always do that little chin tuck so that the head is in line with the spine. And then as you exhale, begin to bring the hands to opposite shoulders, if that feels okay for you. And so now the flow becomes a little bit more active. You could even begin with the exhalation and this self-hugging, this compassionate self-hugging, begin to flex forward a little bit so that now you're moving the spine through flexion and extension very deliberately. So if we open the heart, you might think, why are we also moving forward? Because your shoulder blades are on your back, and for your heart to be open and for your movement to be free and compassionate, we want to move the shoulder blades a little bit on the back body, and that's what you might feel here. It's a little bit of movement in the shoulders. And then of course we're also doing the 6 movements of the spine where we're just really getting warmed up for what's ahead. Couple more rounds like this. And then, yogi's choice. The next time you have hugged yourself, when you come back, notice if you would like to shake or move or wiggle, or if you need a couple of shoulder circles, or if you'd like to just keep the arms at shoulder height for a moment with the palms turned up. All of that is great. We're all different. We all had a different check-in during the opening centering. Only you know what will serve you right now, and so be willing to be different. Be willing to be your own person, to reflect your own heart. And then at some point, let's all come to arms out, palms up, as you then use the breath to move side to side, using the exhale to bring the right arm overhead and to look up to the right of your ceiling. And using the inhale to rise back up to that starting position. Maybe there's a pause here. And then you wait for the next exhale. And the left arm travels up and over. And the eyes and the head move up to look up to the left ceiling. And then flow with your own breath here. So not imitating anything you see on the screen, but letting your beautiful breath move you compassionately from the inside out into these very gentle side bends. Just really getting the spine mobilized into all directions. This is a very compassionate way of being in the world. If you do nothing else every day from a movement perspective, do the 6 movements of the spine. And you'll know by now lots of variations from having been in this class for a long time. We start every class with these movements. And this is beautiful for your heart space. Resilience in the spine, strength in the back body, all of those things are required for an open heart. When you've enjoyed enough of these lateral extensions, or flexions, depending on which side of the body you're thinking about, you can either shake or wiggle for a moment, or you could sit still, or if you've not had enough, you can keep going. But at some point, let's all meet in cactus arms, but take your time to get there. I'm showing them just to show what they are, but feel free to continue to wiggle, to shake, to do what feels good to you. And then with these cactus arms, as you exhale the next time, and don't ever rush the breath, just wait for the exhale to come to you. Turn to the right ever so gently. The left hip can move forward, the head can follow the right hand. Maybe you keep looking at your right thumb. With the inhalation, you come forward. And then with the exhalation, you go to the other side, gaze coming along. In fact, the gaze might actually lead the way. Maybe the head turns before the torso turns. The arms stay in cactus. This brings that heart opening gesture into the body. But of course, you know by now that you will embrace your range of motion and not any range of motion that you see on the screen. Working with the eyes closed when you're seated can be really, really lovely, because then you know that you're moving in line with your own inner wisdom, not driven by any outer shape. Next time you have turned to the left, take one more round and then come to center. And notice what it is that you need. Do you need a little movement, a little wiggle, a little shake, a little release? Or do you just need to be for a moment, letting the arms relax, letting the shoulders release, inviting the breath to calm, whatever it is that you need. If you need movement, by all means, do that. And then when you feel ready to keep going, I invite you to interlace your fingers and then to bring them to the back of your head. We've done this before. The thumbs kind of reach to the base of the skull and the hands cradle the back of the head. And then gently do your little chin tuck and draw the ears toward the back of the body and press the head into your hands as the hands slightly pull forward of the head. On the outside, there is no movement at all. This is entirely isometric. So your arms are not yanking on your head, and your head is not pushing away the arms in a literal sense. They're creating the same amount of effort so that outside nothing moves, but what you're feeling is a lot of isometric engagement here. And then from here, draw the arm bones, the upper arm bones, into the shoulder sockets and feel how that creates a little bit of opening in the heart space. And if you can handle one more thing from here, you might slightly open the elbows out to the side if you aren't already there. And let yourself breathe into this openness for 2 more rounds of your breath. And when you are at the end of your second breath, bring the elbows forward. Gently release the tension between the hands and the head. Never just snap loose out of an isometric hold. Do it nice and slow, compassionately. And then let the arms just come into a couple of circles to release any possible tension that may have crept in. And come to stillness when you're ready. Draw your head back. And then look up toward the left of your ceiling again. Draw the left ear toward the sky and let the right ear move toward the right shoulder. Do that on the exhale. With the inhale, rise up and switch sides. Look up to the right. Draw the right ear toward the sky. Let the left ear descend toward the left shoulder. And just do this a few times with your own breath. Compassion is very, very patient. And so partly with what we're doing here, we're also cultivating compassion and receptivity. Those are so necessary when we open the heart space. If we force our heart open without self-compassion, we feel very vulnerable and we're open to being harmed. And so to open your heart, be deliberate, be patient, be compassionate, be receptive to inner inputs and outer inputs. The next time you have leaned your head to the left, let that be your last lateral flexion of the neck. And simply come to center and take a moment to notice the reverberation of those neck movements. Maybe notice if tension crept in anywhere. If you feel like you kind of tensed your back, you could just take a few little Sufi circles. Those are a nice way of topping off movements that can be wholesome and yet can create a little bit of tension in the body. If you are doing some Sufi circles, make sure you switch directions and take a few in the other direction. All of us have an intuitive direction that we take first. So always make sure you also do the other thing. And then I invite you to find your blocks, your flip-flops, your paperbacks, whatever it is that you're going to hold in your hands, and place them on your palms. So don't wrap the fingers around it. They're literally, the way you want to hold these blocks is that if your hand moves out of that alignment, the blocks will fall off. That's the idea, okay? So you're not hanging on to them, you're resting them on your hands. What this does is, and bring your elbows by your side, what this does is it creates what we call supination in the forearm, which is helpful to opening the heart space. You can remember that word supination because you just imagine you are carrying a cup of soup. And that's how you have to hold your hand, as if you were carrying a cup of soup and you don't want to spill a drop, right? And it's just sitting on your palm. That's how you hold the blocks. Your elbows start out tucked in by your side, and then open the arms out to the side and just see how far it feels comfortable for you, what range of motion feels good. And perhaps exhale and bring the arms in. So you could again move with the breath here. Inhaling to open and exhaling to bring the hands together, but not to close the heart. This is why you have the blocks. Your palms stay rolled up, your forearms are supinated, and so the heart can stay open even when the hands come toward each other. And so really feel that open heart to the degree that is appropriate to you. And at the same time, notice how your torso is responding, and you can be very helpful to your low back here if you gently draw the belly button toward the spine and the low ribs toward your hips. You're creating a little bit of core engagement. You might even feel a gentle lift upward and inward of the pelvic floor, especially on the exhalation. So let yourself be strong on the inside here as you are opening on the outside. From here, you have options. You can continue just with these squeezes. They're called scapular squeezes. The scapulae are your shoulder blades. And what's happening in the back body as you open your arms is you're squeezing your shoulder blades together on the back. So you can stay with these squeezes of your shoulder blades and the opening of the heart, or you can continue to hold the blocks on your hands and begin to draw circles without ever dropping your blocks. This is why I didn't want you to use like a heavy block, a heavy cork block or a wooden block or something, because just in case something falls, a foam block or a flip-flop or a paperback book isn't going to do any harm. And let the circles become creative. You can open wider and wider. The blocks on the hands keep your forearms supinated, they keep your heart open. And so it's just a little trick of keeping the movement in a heart-opening direction. Remember that drawing in of the belly button, the tucking, very slight tucking of the low ribs toward the hip bones, maybe that drawing up of the pelvic floor. Maybe you even feel like a slight movement to the back of your pelvis. Sort of a tilting backward here. You could think of it as really planting your sits bones, either on the earth or in your chair. And then let the circles get bigger and alternate arms. So that you're moving into full circumduction, full rounding of the shoulders here. Now work with discernment, right? Depending on your surgery sites, your radiation, your lymph node status. You may have some restrictions here that you really deeply and compassionately want to honor. And so find your boundary, find your edge. Whoops, I almost dropped my block. And work with compassion. Couple more times. And then let the arms synchronize and see if you can make that big circle with both arms at the same time. This may be quite challenging, so just notice. So these are very simple movements, but they're super impactful, and they're a beautiful way of starting a heart-opening practice. Couple more times, and then when you have finished your second circle, you could either come back to a few more scap squeezes, or you can be done with your blocks and lay them aside and notice if you need a few wiggles or shakes, or even if you need to get up and jog it out, just sense inward. And then wherever you are, begin to close what it is that you're doing. And find your way to standing. You can stay seated if you prefer, but it might be nice for our legs to get a little bit of motion. I'll actually stay on my knees so that you can see me better. But please do feel absolutely welcome at this point to stand up. And find your stretchy band, if you have it, or your tie or your strap. If you don't have it, doesn't matter. You can do the movements without it and just imagine that you're holding a stretchy band. See if you can access that open heart. Just imagine that supination, that soup bowl on your hands as you bring your arms to your side for a moment, and you'll feel that rolling open of the heart. And just can you close your eyes for a moment and from the inside out feel your own openness here, physically, energetically, psychologically, emotionally. Are you ready to embrace this? If you're not, that's fine. If you aren't ready for this, please notice, work compassionately and gently. And then you have options here. The movement can be done in 2 separate pieces, or you can do it as one piece. I'm going to show the whole round, which is an inhalation that brings the strap up. This is the nice thing about the stretchy band, because to come up and over, the band needs to get wider, so you will pull it under your own power. If you're using a strap or a scarf, you need to let the scarf slide through your hands to allow the movement to the back. And that's on the exhale. And then on the inhale, you bring the arms back up. And on the exhale, you bring them down. Or if you would like, the other option is to simply come up and down in the front and not go all the way to the back. So yogi's choice, whatever feels good to you. If you come up and back, remember you need to adjust your grip if you have a strap or a scarf. With a stretchy band, you're also working on arm strength, because you have to stretch the band out to come up and over, and then you can release it inward on the way down. So a stretchy band really is ideal for this movement. And then become very aware of how this is affecting your heart space. And notice if you can create some more stability in your core by drawing the belly button in, drawing the low ribs toward the hip bones, and maybe curling, kind of moving the pelvis back a little bit. What brings you stability here? Because you want that core strength to hold your heart open. And you're automatically strengthening the back body here, simply with the movement and then with the stretchy band. Couple more times up and down. And then if you have the stretchy band, when you're behind the back, keep it there. Hold the band in your hands. Let the stretchy band come across your SI joints, so they wrap across your pelvis, right where the spine, the sacrum of the spine sits inside of your pelvis. So that's a very stable way to place the stretchy band. If you have a strap, you can also do this with a strap, but what you won't get is the ability to stretch the band here. And just stretch the band forward and back a few times. The arms can begin to straighten if that works for you. And then you can keep the elbows in and open the arms out to the side, keeping the stretchy band stretched. You could even make it a little tighter and get a little bit more work. The shoulder blades move toward each other on the back. Your core engages. Belly button moves inward. Low ribs draw toward the hips. Feel strong. Feel your pelvic floor as you move the arms in this very familiar way. We did this earlier with the foam blocks on the hands, so keep the palms facing up, just as if you had the foam blocks, but you're adding more power. You might really feel this in the back body and in your core. Strengthening you on the inside, getting some backbone as you open and become vulnerable compassionately in the front. And once you've enjoyed as much of this as you can stand, you can let the band go and find yourself back at center. Notice for a moment how your energy is unfolding. If you need to shake out any tension that crept in, or maybe make some hula hoops in case the back got a little bit tight. But don't do anything that doesn't feel compassionate for you. Just explore. What would you like? I'm just showing different options. I'm not asking you to do any of them. I'm just giving you ideas of how to check in with yourself. For some of you, it may be hands to heart, eyes closed, sensing into the body. You can stay here, or you can keep doing what you're doing, or you can bring your arms out, yet again, sort of in cactus. Well, we'll start in cactus just because it's familiar. Find your strength, especially now that you're standing, drawing the belly button in. Feel strong on the inside. If you're not sure how to engage that, you can either do your lion's breath, so stick your tongue out on the exhale, or you can just start laughing or coughing, and boom, your core will kick in, and then you'll know what I mean. And then as you exhale, in fact, you could do this standing at a wall if you have a wall nearby or a door. If you don't have a wall, just imagine that your arms are on a wall and slide the elbows down and up. The wall is nice as external feedback that the arms are open, that the heart is open. But you can totally do this standing in the middle of the room. You're just making a W shape with your arms. So I'll show this away from my wall. That's the movement. Is the arms sliding up and down, but toward the back plane of the body. If you do this by the wall, it kind of keeps you honest, but don't overdo. Like if this is too much opening to slide along the wall, come forward of the wall. If you really feel energetic right now, you can walk your feet a little bit away from the wall if you're at a wall, and then slide down the wall with your entire body as you exhale, and slide up as you inhale. But you don't have to add that piece. That's like icing on the cake. Yeah. If that doesn't feel good, don't do it. It's just an option. And then let this come to rest when you're ready. And this time, I really invite you to shake it out creatively. Maybe with some hula hoops, maybe with some side steps, whatever feels good to you. Just really play. Like a little kid who said, ooh, that was a lot of work. Let me just play now and feel your body kind of from the inside out. What feels good for you? Getting yourself ready for one last fun thing to do before we move into our closing meditation. So get creative here. Or if creativity for you means you want to stand with hands at heart or sit on your chair with hands at heart and sense inward, that is beautiful as well. And then from wherever you are, we will move into a heart-opening shape either at the wall or on a chair. So I will show it both ways. And theoretically, you could do it from the floor as well, so I guess I'll show that too. But here's where we're headed. So we're headed really toward a downward dog, but maybe you want to watch for a moment to see how we're going to do this to keep the heart open. I'll start at the wall. If you're going to do this at the wall, stand about a leg's length distance from the wall. And then from here, by now we've done this a lot, you'll inhale your arms up. And then you bring the hands forward. And if you're comfortable, let yourself fall into the wall. If that doesn't feel comfortable, you can take a step forward, bring the hands to the wall at shoulder height, and then step back again. And then draw your sits bones, draw your bum away from the wall, and let your sternum, your breastbone, move toward the floor. Draw the core in, stay strong and integrated here, and you'll feel the heart opening of this shape. This is the version at the wall. You can do the same thing with a chair. Here you would bring the arms up and overhead, and then instead of coming forward and to the wall, you come down and you bring your hands to the seat of the chair. And then from here, you draw your seat back. You may have to step back too, and you come into that same shape that you can take at the wall here. Same idea. Draw the core in. Feel the engagement of the low ribs toward the hips. And then the third option is to take this all the way to the floor to come into a downward dog on the floor. So yogi's choice. And then wherever you arrive, whether it's on the floor or on the chair or at the wall, hold with strength in your center. Stay very connected from the inside out. You have practiced this in so many opening centerings to the sensations in your body. If you're not sure if your core is engaged, laugh or cough or stick your tongue out. You could lift up your toes. That will engage your legs. That will engage your glutes. Find strength in the back body. Find strength in your core as you embrace the opening across the heart space. And then whenever you feel ready to be done with this, if you're on the floor completely, come to your knees. If you're at the wall, straighten up a little bit, as if you were taking a plank at the wall, and step 1 foot forward. If your hands on chair, that's basically how you'll step out of hands on chair as well. You draw yourself forward, you step, hands come to the back, low back, That same spot where you had the resilience band, and then you lift and stand. And you can release the arms, and you can decide whether you'd like to take that one more time or whether you'd like to be done and find your way into whatever shape you're going to take for your closing meditation. We'll have this one very brief. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. If you want to do it, maybe you try it in a different orientation. If you did it at the wall, maybe try it at the chair. If you did it at the chair, maybe you try it at the wall. And just feel how it's different, how the demands are slightly different, especially for those parts of you that have to engage. How can you bring strength here into the back body? How can you engage your core? How can your heart stay open? As you take a couple more rounds of breath wherever you are, even if you're already settled into the shape you'll take for your closing meditation. And if you are in a down dog, once that second breath is complete, find your way out of the shape, stepping a foot forward, rising up deliberately, hands to the low back, compassionate, elbows to the back that keeps the heart open even as you float back up to standing. Take a moment to stand, take a moment to rest, and then find your way either into your seated position or your lying down position for your closing meditation. Be very deliberate in how you settle yourself in, taking no shortcuts. Just because you have a sense of where you're headed, do it consciously, with awareness, with compassion. Let yourself arrive in this settling sort of shape, very attuned to your body, your breath, your mind, as you settle yourself in, choosing props for compassion, choosing props with deliberateness and discernment. And then take a moment to once again scan into your body. You did this very carefully at the beginning of class. Do it again now to notice if anything has shifted, not expecting a shift, not expecting a change, but also being present for it if a change has unfolded. And then invite your body to release any unnecessary holding. Surrendering the body to the earth as you check in with your energy, your breath. Compassionately exploring sensation here, being receptive to whatever is. Noticing any shifts without expecting change. And then invite the breath simply to breathe itself as you surrender it to the flow of life force that moves through all of us. And finally, gently check in compassionately and receptively, very patiently with your mind. Perhaps your mind state or your mind contents. Noticing any transformations if they occurred, but not expecting them. And then invite the mind to simply Release what is not necessary to remain right now as you entrust your mind to your deeper inner wisdom that will bring you back to what needs coming back to later. And from this place of having collected yourself patiently, receptively, compassionately into this moment and into this space, I invite you into about 1.5 minutes or so of silence until my voice brings you back. And with great patience and compassion, invite your senses to reawaken to your outer and inner world. Perhaps attuning to the sounds in your environment, or maybe the sounds inside your own body, the gurgling of a stomach, the fragrance in your room, the texture of your clothing, the air on your skin, the sensations within your body. And perhaps notice if there is a need for your body to stretch or wiggle a little bit, or if there's more of a need for continued quietude. And let that unfold as it needs to for you to be compassionate with yourself. And then very patiently pay attention to your breath. And with an open heart, watch your inhalation traveling in, ready to receive it. And very patiently watch your exhalation travel out, ready to let it be, to let go, to release. If you are lying on the earth and you would like to close the practice in a seat, this will be a beautiful time to transition to an upright position. But you're always welcome to close the practice lying down. Whenever you have arrived at a seat and you feel ready to do so, I invite you to place your hands to your heart and to bow your head to your heart. We'll end today with a bit of a call and response where I will say a sentence out loud, and then I invite you to repeat it silently to yourself. I will leave space for you to do that. May I be patient. May I be receptive. May I be compassionate with myself and others. May I be free of suffering. And then very gently, simply begin to notice if there is a takeaway from class today, something important, something meaningful, something that you would like to seal into your tissues, into your energy, or into your mind, or your neural pathways. And notice if that takeaway in some way connects with the intention, the quality that you hoped to cultivate on the mat today. Perhaps to create a dedication of the merit from your time this morning. And if such a dedication emerges for you, patiently, receptively, and compassionately draw it into your own wide open heart with your breath in. And compassionately and patiently release it silently outward into the greater web of life with your next breath out. And as always, thank you all so much for being part of this beautiful Thursday morning community. It's truly a joy, an honor, and a privilege to spend this time with you. And as always,